Part 159. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1581. Chapter 1581 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 109. Xia Ying listened to the mutterings of the two people behind her. The more she listened, the more helpless she became. Then she turned around suddenly and faced the two people who were still making small moves. Yu Lingfeng and Xiajin noticed that Xia Ying turned her head, and immediately put on serious expressions, looking at Xia Ying expressionlessly, waiting for the decision. "You two, don't even think about escaping," Xia Ying said word by word, and then got in the car. Yu Lingfeng and Xiajin looked at each other and got into the car. Yu Lingfeng gestured to Xiajin, "Can you use your advantages as a child?" Xiaojin asked back, "What advantage?" "Being coquettish," Yu Lingfeng whispered. Xiaojin pouted and glanced at Yu Lingfeng, "Can't you use your advantage as a husband?" Yu Lingfeng raised his eyebrows, "What? Be gentle and comfort me." Xiajin stirred up Yu Lingfeng seriously. Yu Lingfeng's face darkened, "You don't need to tell me, I've tried it a long time ago and it didn't work." "That means you are not a good husband." Xiajin glanced at Yu Lingfeng with disgust. Yu Lingfeng tugged at Xiaojin's ears, "You brat, who did you learn this from? She has become bad after not seeing each other for a few months. It must have been taught by that guy Jianyins, who is becoming more and more glib." Xiaojin pouted aggrievedly, and then moved closer to Xia Ying. Looking at Xia Ying, who still had a straight face and no expression, she began to use her special move. "Mom, Xiajin knows that she was wrong. Xiajin will never do this again in the future." Xia Ying was unmoved. "Mama, please don't ignore Xiajin, okay? Xiajin hasn't seen Mom for a long time, and I really want to say." Xia Ying still didn't speak. Xiaojin sighed inwardly. It seemed that he was really angry this time. These tricks had worked well in the past. "Mom, actually, have you ever thought about it, because I am not an ordinary child, so sometimes, I can't be the same as other children," Xiajin started to say seriously. Xia Ying's expression changed. Subtle changes also began to occur. "I know what you think, Mom, but maybe, Mom, you will make mistakes in your judgment. Sometimes, I do what Mom asks, but I am not happy. Instead, I participated in that competition. I was very happy when I was designing robots with many people. I was just as happy as when I was playing with Dad and Uncle Zihu. I thought, maybe this is what I should do, maybe it's different from Mom's expectations. But I really like it. So, Mom, can you also listen to my opinion sometimes?" Xia Ying turned around and looked at Xiajin's sincere eyes, with fluorescent lights flashing in her eye circles. Xiajin has never told her these things. From childhood to adulthood, Xiajin has followed the life that Xia Ying paved for him, but Xia Ying has never listened to Xiajin's opinion, nor has she asked Xiajin. Just like Xiajin said, it turned out that he was not happy before. Although he is trying hard to cater to his mother's preferences and become what his mother likes, that look is not what he likes or what he wants. This is Xiajin's life, isn't it? Xia Ying has no way to interfere with Xiajin's life. Yu Lingfeng touched Xiajin's head and added, "Xiajin is right. Many times, we hope that he can enjoy the happiness he deserves like other children, but the source of Xiajin's happiness is different from they are not the same. So I think if he likes it, let him do it." End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1582. Chapter 1582 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 110. No matter what others say about him, whether he is a genius or a monster, as long as Xiajin is happy. In many cases, there is no need to care about what the outside world thinks. What's more, this is the real Xiajin. Xiajin is a genius with high IQ. When Yu Lingfeng finished speaking, Xia Ying was silent for a long time, tears began to fill her eyes, then she held Xiaojin in her arms and whispered, "I'm sorry, Xiaojin, Mom has never asked you how you feel. Mom promised you, from now on, you can do what you want, and your mother will not interfere with you anymore." "Really?" Xiaojin raised her head and looked at Xia Ying excitedly, she couldn't believe it. Xia Ying nodded, "My little baby is so smart, and he's not afraid of what others say. From now on, you can do whatever you want, and leave the rest to your parents. I won't let others disturb your life." Xiaojin smiled sweetly, "Thank you, Mom." Yu Lingfeng also showed a faint smile and looked at the two of them. Who knows, at this time, Xia Ying suddenly turned her head and rolled her eyes at Yu Lingfeng. "Why are you laughing? Your work is not over yet." Yu Lingfeng was stunned, "Didn't we all agree? It's two different things, go back and accept the punishment." Yu Lingfeng sighed and asked weakly, "What punishment?" "You'll know when you get back." Xiaojin secretly smiled in Xia Ying's arms. Looking at Yu Lingfeng, she felt even more hopeless. So are they in the same camp now? Why does he feel like he is no longer human inside and out? After returning home, Xia Ying assigned Yu Lingfeng a series of punishment tasks. The first item is to undertake all the housework and 3 meals a day. Yu Lingfeng thought with heartbreak that she really missed the time when 11 Ju was here. At that time, 11 Ju cooked and could eat whatever he wanted. Thinking about it now, robots are better. But doesn't the home have a self-menstrual function? Xiaojin reminded Xia Ying. Xia Ying thought for a while and said, "Yes, let's change it. Remember to plant the vegetable garden in the back, and leave the garden to you." Xiaojin clung to Xia Ying and looked at Yu Lingfeng, giggling. Yu Lingfeng wore an apron around her waist and looked at the two people, one large and one small, with despair. Collective domestic violence. Stop talking, he went to plant vegetables. At night, Xiaojin was still being discussed on Weibo, and Xiaojin was still on Weibo's hot searches. Xia Ying posted a message on Weibo. "I only found out about this news after filming. Thank you for everyone's concern. It's Xiaojin's fault. Thank you for your affirmation and support for Xiaojin. I will continue to work hard in the future." There is a picture at the bottom of Weibo. It is a picture of Xiaojin holding the trophy and smiling with squinted eyes. In the photo, Xiaojin is wearing a white sweater, her hair is soft and shiny, and her skin is as white as porcelain. She looks extremely cute. As soon as Xia Ying posted on Weibo, the comments started to explode. First of all, Xia Ying admitted that Xiaojin is the 6-year-old prodigy. Secondly, Xia Ying posted Xiaojin's photo on Weibo for the first time. It was so cute. "Mom. My husband is awesome. I have decided to raise my son in the cloud, is there anyone with me? My mother is a national goddess, my father is said to be a geek in astrophysics, and my son is a genius. So is there anything else I don't know about your family? Upstairs, let's find out about Xia Ying's 13 cousins. It doesn't matter if any one of them comes out. The most famous Chu twins, Chu Shengming and Chu Shenxiu. It is said that Yu Lingfeng's background is not that simple. After all, he is a man whose information cannot be found by hackers." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1583. Chapter 1583 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 111. Same upstairs, wasn't it rumored that Yu Moliang was Yu Lingfeng's father? Yu Moliang is known as China's greatest astrophysicist in the 21st century. Yu Lingfeng's brain is definitely not that bad, and this person has always been very mysterious. he may be an important person in a mysterious national organization. That's not the case. If Yu Lingfeng was really that mysterious, he wouldn't be out filming. I only know that the Yu Lingfeng family must be very rich. You can tell by looking at the villa they live in. It was a wedding gift to Xia Ying. Mom. What kind of fairy family is this? Originally, there was still a heated discussion about Xiao Jin on the internet. I don't know why, but suddenly the mood changed and the discussion started about Yu Lingfeng. After all, Yu Lingfeng is indeed mysterious. No information can be found on the internet. Everyone only knows that he is Xia Ying's husband. As for Yu Moliang's son, it is also a rumor that has never been confirmed. Xia Ying looked at the discussion about Yu Lingfeng on Weibo, then took Xiaojin to the balcony and looked at the man who was still loosening soil in the vegetable garden at night, and laughed. I don't know what those netizens would think if they knew that the mysterious male they talked about was doing farm work at the moment. So, Xia Ying suddenly became playful and took a photo of Yu Lingfeng working in the vegetable garden and posted it on Weibo. Shock. Yu Lingfeng's mysterious identity is revealed, he is actually a vegetable farmer. Then accompanying pictures are two photos of Yu Lingfeng working late at night under the lights. Ha ha ha, Goddess Xia Ying is naughty again. Grass. Some people are so handsome and manly even when they are carrying a to loosen the soil. I cry, such a handsome man is still so hard working in farm work? My husband asked me why I kicked him out of bed while playing games. Okay, go to me, the ugly guy who knows how to play games, with the knife in hand. Shit, do rich people also want to grow vegetables? Please see a clear frontal photo. So handsome, so handsome. Xia Ying saw that the comments under Weibo did not go in the direction she wanted. Instead, they kept praising Yu Lingfeng for her good looks. What can I say, he looks handsome even if he picks shit. So these people nowadays are really very good at controlling their looks. After Yu Lingfeng finished her work, she saw that Xia Ying's face turned even more ugly. She deeply reflected on what she had done wrong, and asked Xiaojin to find out the reason. Mama said you are too handsome, Daddy, and it's annoying. Xiaojin bit into the lollipop that Yu Lingfeng bribed and carefully recalled what Xia Ying said to herself just now. Yu Lingfeng frowned. Does he look so handsome that it bothers her? Yu Lingfeng found out after she went to Weibo that this was the case. Yu Lingfeng couldn't laugh or cry. After taking a refreshing bath, he returned to the bedroom. Xia Ying was already sitting on the bed and starting to read. Yu Lingfeng leaned close to Xia Ying. The water vapor from the bath came one after another. The fragrance smelled good. Yu Lingfeng raised his eyebrows and smiled, your vegetable farmer is back. Xia Ying raised her eyes and looked at Yu Lingfeng, and responded calmly, oh. Don't you ask me what I'm doing when I come back. Yu Lingfeng stood up straight, leaning against the wall, his deep eyes narrowed slightly, a playful smile hanging on the corner of his mouth, and he looked at Xia Ying meaningfully. Xia Ying looked up at him, and it turned out to be a monster's face. With such a face, it's really hard for you to be angry with him. Especially when he looks at you and smiles so seductively. What are you here for? Yu Lingfeng turned off the light with a snap, then raised the corners of his lips and smiled, you. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1584. Chapter 1584 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 112. In the blink of an eye, Xiaojin has reached the age of elementary school. The primary school Xia Ying chose for Xiaojin was an international primary school. It adopted British elite education, and naturally the tuition fees were also very expensive. Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng took Xiaojin to visit many schools. There was a reason why Xiaojin fell in love with this school. This primary school has complete facilities, a beautiful campus, a strong academic style, quality education, and focuses on cultivating students' interests and talents, not just learning. In Zyajin's words, he likes this school very much because it is beautiful and the principal looks like Principal Dumbledore in Harry Potter. Children's world is always different, and their perspective on the world is always childlike. So, at that moment, Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng made their decision, this was the one. When he got home, Xiao Jin answered a phone call and told his best friend Xiao Kong which school he went to. Then he described to Xiao Kong how good the school was and asked Xiao Kong to come with him. Xia Ying smiled and looked at Xiaojin and Xiao Kong's seriousness while talking on the phone, while she slowly ate an orange. However, as Xiao Jin spoke, her face suddenly became more and more ugly. Xia Ying was puzzled. After Xiao Jin put down the phone, she walked towards Xia Ying and asked Xia Ying with a look of loss and frustration, "Mom, why can't Xiao Kong go to the same school as me?" Xiao Jin was a good friend who had always played together, but now Xiao Kong told him that he couldn't go to the same school as him, and Xiao Jin was extremely sad. "Don't worry, what did Xiao Kong say?" Xia Ying asked Xiaojin patiently, then touched Xiaojin's head to comfort him. Xiao Kong said that the tuition of that school was too expensive and he couldn't afford it. Xiaojin's voice was choked, and then she asked Xia Ying with her bright eyes open, "Mama, can you help Xiao Kong pay the tuition? Can I go to school with him?" Xia Ying suddenly remembered that Xiao Kong's parents seemed to have divorced a long time ago. Xiao Kong follows his mother, and Xiao Kong's sister follows his father. It is indeed difficult for Xiao Kong's mother, a woman, to support Xiao Kong's expensive tuition. "Okay, go tell Xiao Kong and tell him that Aunt Xia will help him pay his tuition, so that he doesn't have to worry and can go to school with you in peace of mind." Xiaojin's droopy face suddenly brightened up, and she jumped up excitedly, then kissed Xia Ying on the cheek. "Mom, you are so awesome, thank you, Mom, I'll tell Xiaojin love this good news." Then, Xiaojin turned around and started calling Xiao Kong again. Xia Ying looked at Xiaojin with a smile. Xia Ying still has a very good impression of Xiao Kong, so she naturally hopes that such an outstanding little boy can always be friends with Xiaojin. It is also a wonderful thing for the two of them to grow up together. "Mama, Xiao Kong's mom wants to talk to you on the phone." Xiaojin held up the phone receiver and waved to Xia Ying. Xia Ying walked towards Xiaojin and took the phone from Xiaojin's hand. When Xiao Kong's mother heard that Xia Ying was going to sponsor Xiao Kong to attend the aristocratic primary school, which was said to be the most expensive and best, her hand holding the phone trembled with excitement. At first, Xiao Kong's mother rejected Xia Ying's kindness. But Xia Ying was very persistent and finally convinced Xiao Kong's mother to let Xiao Kong and Xiao Jing go to that school together. Xiao Kong's mother choked up in tears after saying all her words of thanks. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1585. Chapter 1585 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 113. Don't be like this, the two children are good friends, and because I like Xiao Kong very much, I want to sponsor Xiao Kong to go to school with our Xiao Jin. The two children have such a good relationship and get along with each other in many things, so don't worry too much. Xiao Kong is a very smart child and will definitely be successful in the future. Xia Ying said with relief. The two chatted for a long time before hanging up the phone. After hanging up the phone, Xiaojin blinked her big eyes and asked Xia Ying, "Mom, is our family rich?" Xia Ying was dumbfounded by Xiaojin's question. "What do you think? The three of us living in such a big house must be very wealthy," Xiaojin said sternly. Xia Ying smiled, "Silly boy, your parents earned all this money. Xiaojin will make her own money in the future and live a good life." Xiaojin rolled her eyes, and then said seriously to Xia Ying, "Mom, actually we don't need that much money, we can give the money to the poor." Last time Uncle Zihu and I went out to play, we saw there is an old man begging on the roadside. He has no home and no food. He is very pitiful. Xia Ying's eyes were shining with light. Xiaojin really thinks so. Xia Ying knelt down to be eye level with Xiaojin and communicated with him. Xiaojin nodded vigorously, yes, Mom, the three of us can't use so much money anyway, right? We can give the money we can't use to those in need, so everyone will be happy, right? No. Xiaojin is very well behaved. Xia Ying touched Xia Ying's head, and then said, actually, my parents have always been doing charity. Xiaojin can think so, and her mother is very happy. In this way, my mother promised Xiaojin that we can set up in the foundation named after Xiaojin. Xiaojin can use the money she earns from participating in the competition to donate to those in need. Xiaojin can give it to anyone she wants, including those children who cannot go to school and the elderly who have no children to support. It's okay, Xiaojin decides everything, okay. Hearing what Xia Ying said, Xiaojin's eyes lit up and she nodded, okay, Xiaojin should also help others like mom and dad. That night, Xia Ying told Yu Lingfeng her thoughts. Yu Lingfeng nodded in agreement, very good, cultivate this child's sense of love. You said before that Xiaojin is inhumane, isn't that good? At least it was much better than when Yu Lingfeng was a child. When Yu Lingfeng was a child, he was really a piece of iron and stone. Nothing can move him. Xiaojin is quite kind, and that's because I taught him well anyway, the genes you passed on to him are bad. Yu Lingfeng had nothing to say. Even if he wanted to, he couldn't. After all, he was still being punished. Tisk, the domestic violence against my wife is really severe. Xia Ying spent some time preparing the Nanjing Love Foundation, and then officially announced it on Weibo. As long as there are people around you who need help, you can Weiboite Nanjing Love Foundation, or find the work center of Nanjing Love Foundation, and the staff will provide subsidies after verifying the situation. There are no complicated procedures and the subsidies arrive very quickly. At the beginning, when Xia Ying posted this news on Weibo, although netizens were supportive, many people also raised a very real issue. Can this foundation really provide substantial help? There are so many people in need of help in society, how long can this foundation last? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1586. Chapter 1586 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 114. Xia Ying is not the first celebrity to set up a charity foundation, but the capabilities of privately established foundations are limited after all, and the scope of subsidies for Xia Ying's foundation is too wide, and there is no exact scope. It only refers to people in need of help. There are too many people in need of help in this society. If everyone really helps, everyone feels that Xia Ying will go bankrupt soon, and the foundation will soon announce its dissolution. So, even if it is a good thing to donate charity, everyone still has a wait-and-see attitude to see how this foundation will operate and how far it will go. Xiaojin was not aware of the doubts they faced on the internet, but was very happy that she had a caring foundation of her own. After Xiaojin's genius attributes were exposed, Xia Ying no longer restricted him from participating in various competitions. Therefore, Xiaojin participated in various competitions in order to raise more funds for her foundation. Others participate in the competition based on their interest and ability, while Xiaojin participates in the competition based on the prize money. Recently, Xiaojin has won the International Children's Chess Competition, the International Youth Piano Competition, the International Children's Brain Competition, etc., and then won the highest prize money in all competitions. Xia Ying happened to be busy with her Thornbird Entertainment Company during that time. Liangye and Qianyins were both going to release new songs, so Xia Ying was extremely busy during that time. When Xia Ying had some time to take a look, she realized that the entire wall of her house had been filled with trophies. At this moment, the instigator is still studying his next competition, the mathematical Olympiad competition. Xia Ying pulled Xiao Jin out of the sea of titles, looked at Xiao Jin's panda eyes, and was furious. He knew that this child started to do it desperately when he became passionate about something, and he didn't know this kind of stubbornness and unwillingness to admit defeat. Whose character is inherited from? Xiaojin, put down the pen. I still have 2 questions to finish. Xiaojin pretended to sit back down and continue studying. Xia Ying didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and then she pulled Xiaojin back. How long has it been since you had fun? When Xia Ying asked this question, Xiaojin really recalled it seriously. It seems to have been a long time, and it has been a long time since he went to play with Xiao Kong, ever since he had his own charity foundation. If you don't want to study anymore, Mom will take you to play. Xia Ying said and took Xiaojin out of the door without any explanation. Where's your dad? Why doesn't he know how to take care of you while I'm busy during this period? He's going crazy. Dad was captured by my uncle for experiments again. Hand in for experiments. This word-grabbing method is really useful. Xia Ying laughed and said, your father must have owed your 12th uncle in his previous life. Xiaojin drank the yogurt that Xia Ying had just brought for him, sat on the safety seat, and then said, a few days ago, Dad seemed to have said that he would go back to some institution to continue doing astrophysics, so as not to be used by his uncle every time. You have nothing to do and can be used as free labor. Xia Ying smiled. This was indeed the tone in which Yu Lingfeng spoke. Your uncle is really driving him crazy. As Xia Ying spoke, she started the engine. Mama, where should we go to play? I'll take you to your Uncle Zihu, Uncle Liangye, and your godfather. Xia Ying turned her head and smiled at Xiao Jin. They are recording songs now, go and give them a surprise. Great. Xiaojin smiled, I haven't seen my godfather for a long time. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1587. Chapter 1587 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 115. If you want to say who Xiaojin likes to hang out with the most, besides Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng, it is Qianyins. Qianyins always has interesting places to take Xiaojin to, and Xiaojin likes to stay with him. Xia Ying took Xiaojin to the company. As soon as Xiaojin arrived at the company, she was surrounded by the employees in the company, and they all stared at Xiaojin with shining eyes. Oh my god, Xiaojin is so good looking, isn't she? How on earth does she grow like this? I don't want that brat in my family to look like a joke. They say Xiaojin is a little angel. I saw it today. She is so cute that I want to steal it home. Isn't this too hereditary? Will he be more handsome than his evil father in the future? Xiaojin looked around at the strange squid and weird aunties. Without saying a word, her eyes widened, and then she held her chin and thought, is his daddy really a monster? Xia Ying turned around and found that Xiaojin was missing. Then she looked in the direction of the crowd, sighed, and walked over to bring Xiaojin over. I said, why can't I see anyone? Xia Ying laughed. Boss Xia, you must bring Xiaojin to the company to play in the future, so that I will never be late in the future. Boss Xia, can we make an appointment to have a baby? First come, first served, do you understand? If you want to decide, I will decide. Isn't your daughter going to junior high school? How old is Xiaojin? What's the matter? The female junior is holding gold bricks. Xia Ying listened to their noise and smiled helplessly. Okay, I will bring more to you to see if I have the opportunity in the future. As for the baby kiss, I won't have to do it. My Xiaojin will make her own choice when she grows up. Xia Ying said, then smiled and took Xiaojin in hand. When they arrived at the recording studio, as soon as Xiaojin appeared, Qian Yin's, who was still singing, suddenly subconsciously cursed, My godson is here. The music director who was listening to the song over there was interrupted by this sudden line. He was listening to the beautiful music just now, and suddenly such a sentence came out, which was really weird. Qian Yin's immediately dropped his earphones and ran to Xiaojin's place. As soon as Xiaojin saw Qian Yin's, she ran towards him quickly, with her mouth wide open and her smile sweet. Godfather! Qian Yin's hugged Xiaojin and spun him around in circles several times. Xiaojin's silver bell-like laughter resounded throughout the recording studio. I haven't seen you for a few days, but I've become handsome again. This brat is almost more handsome than me, your godfather. Qian Yin's put Xiaojin down, rubbed Xiaojin's soft hair, pinched his face again, and teased. Xiaojin snorted, and then said, I'm more handsome than my godfather. Hey, where did you learn incorrect aesthetics? Did your father teach you? Qian Yin smiled, and then asked, Tell me, do you want to be your father? Think. Xiaojin answered loudly. Xia Ying came over and said helplessly, since Xiaojin established his own foundation, he has been shutting himself up at home all day studying various competitions and participating in competitions everywhere. There is no room for trophies at home, so I brought them out to let him relax. One time. Qian Yin smiled, is my godson so cool? He gets a trophy for participating in a competition. Xiaojin nodded and said proudly, of course. I'm very smart. Yes, yes, but your brain will get stuck if you use it too much. Where do you want to go to play later? My godfather is not working today, so he can be alone with you, okay. Qian Yin's grabbed Xiaojin's face and said. Xiaojin shouted excitedly, okay. I'm going to play in the horror house. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1588. Chapter 1588 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 116. Who would have thought that Qian Yin's legs would go weak when Xiaojin said the word horror house? Everyone knows that Qian Yin's is not afraid of anything, but he is most afraid of ghosts. Is it okay to go to the horror house? Qian Yin's laughed awkwardly twice, and then discussed with Xiaojin in a good-tempered manner, Xiaojin, be good, let's not go to that kind of feudal and superstitious place. We have to believe in science, right? Xiaojin frowned, not understanding why going to a haunted house reached such a high moral level, so she pointed at her finger and said, but, Godfather, there are many things that science cannot explain, right? You said that in the world there is no ghost, can you explain the reason from a scientific perspective? As soon as Xiaojin said this, Qian Yin's almost knelt down in front of him. I said, little ancestor, why are you doing such a thing? Xia Ying smiled heartily, then silently broke the news and said, Xiaojin, your godfather actually said that because he was afraid. Qian Yin's was stunned after hearing this, and immediately defended himself, who is afraid? Who said I am afraid? Well, if you're not afraid, just take Xiaojin to the horror house. Xia Ying smiled, deliberately irritating him. Qian Yin's was timid, but he was quick to talk and felt happy for a while. Afterwards, the crematorium. Just at this time, 11 Ju opened the door and came in, carrying a box of lunch in his hand. No wonder he hadn't seen anyone just now. It turned out that he had gone to buy lunch for Qian Yin's. Huh, why are you here too? Zihu was stunned for a moment, and then said. Hearing 11 Ju's voice, Qian Yin seemed to have grasped a life-saving straw and immediately stood up and rushed towards 11 Ju. 11 Ju froze, looking at Qian Yin's with a suspicious face, and then looked at Xiaojin's doubtful eyes. What's wrong, what happened? Qian Yin's whispered to 11 Ju in a low voice, Xiaojin wants me to take him to the horror house. You should quickly find a way to prevent him from knowing that I'm afraid of ghosts and make him get his wish. Zihu sighed, thinking to himself, he is not very capable, but his burden is quite heavy. 11 Ju's mind was racing and he finally said to Xiaojin, your godfather went to have his fortune told some time ago and he said that he hasn't seen dirty things recently. So he can't go to the haunted house with you. Xiaojin thought about it seriously, then raised her head and asked Xiaoying, Ma, are ghosts dirty things? Xiaoying clearly knew what those people thought of Xiaojiju, but she still had to follow the steps. Well, yes, there is such a saying. Xiaojin's face suddenly drooped, that's such a shame, I want to go to the haunted house. Then let Uncle 11 Ju accompany you. Xiaoying looked at 11 Ju. 11 Ju nodded, I don't care. Qianyin's face turned blue and white, then he muttered in a low voice, what's so great? He is not envious. He is not afraid of ghosts at all. He just doesn't want to go. That's it. Later, 11 Ju went to find Liang Ye again and called Liang Ye. Finally, no one called Yu Lingfeng, who also came. As a result, Qianyin's was left alone. Hey, I'm talking about someone who doesn't see dirty things. Do you want me to open the light for you? Just open the light and go. Qianyin's had a sad look on his face. This guy was deliberately mocking him. He knew he was afraid of ghosts. Don't want. Qianyin straightened her hair and then said, I am an idol and I have a lot of baggage. What if I meet a fan of mine inside and take a photo of me? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1589. Chapter 1589 Extra Chapter of Xiaofeng and His Wife, 117. What kind of photo was taken of you, a photo of people crying and wolf howling, or a photo of picking up someone else's sleeve and calling Mom, you want to go home? Yu Lingfeng spoke slowly, while 11 Ju was holding back his laughter. He is a professionally trained robot. He will not laugh unless he really can't hold it in anymore. Ha 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 ha. Qianyin's. Zihu realized something was wrong, and a deep and cold gaze shot towards him. 11 Ju immediately shut up and acted as if nothing had happened, but he still laughed like a fool in his heart. Yu Lingfeng, you have gone too far. Qianyin's was irritated, and then he didn't know which tendon was wrong, so he gritted his teeth and said, okay, then I will go to the haunted house with you, and I will definitely come out safely. Everyone looked suspicious. Qianyin's anger level reached its peak, you are really too much. Why no one believes him? Why is no one on his side? Godfather, can I go in with you later? Xiaojin walked to Qianyin's side and said to Qianyin's with a smile as bright as a flower. Qianyin's heart was so cold that he was immediately influenced by Xiaojin. Whoa, Xiaojin is simply a little angel. Good. Xiaojin, it's safer to be with Daddy. Before Qianyin's could finish a good word, Yu Lingfeng dragged Xiaojin and went to him. Qianyin's. Yu Lingfeng, I'll cry for you to see if you believe it or not. Letter. Qianyin's. Stop talking, I'll draw a circle and curse you. Before entering the haunted house, everyone had a different expression on their face. There is Xiaojin who is excited, Yu Lingfeng who is expressionless, Qianyin's who is so scared that his facial muscles are twitching, and 11 Ju who is worried about Qianyin's. Before entering, Liang Ye suddenly said to Xiaoying, actually, this is also my first time entering a haunted house. Xiaoying was startled and looked away at him, have you never been there before? Liang Ye shook his head in embarrassment, no, it was because of poverty before, but now it's because of busyness. In short, I have never been there. Xia Ying patted Liangye on the shoulder and smiled, then this time is just a good experience. Would it be scary? Liangye asked. It's okay, it's just that some people pretend to be ghosts and scare people. Sometimes it's a bit scary to suddenly come on you when you're not paying attention. Just do some psychological work before going in and imply to yourself that those are people and not ghosts. Liangye went in and listened to Xia Ying's teachings. Just after entering the door, Liangye had just entered the psychological suggestion stage that Xia Ying just mentioned. Suddenly he felt his shoulders sink, as if there was a hand on his shoulders. Liangye turned around subconsciously, and then saw a severed arm, and it was still moving. Mom, ah! Liangye screamed and started scurrying around like a headless fly. Everyone began to petrify one after another. Qianyins was frightened, and then said, I finally know what I look like in your eyes. Yu Lingfeng looked at Qianyins with disgust. Just say what you say, and take your hand off my arm first. Hey, you said I feel safer with you. Yu Lingfeng glanced at 11 his eyes saying, is this the man you like? 11 didn't look at it and lowered his head. In fact, he also began to dislike it. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1590. Chapter 1590 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 118. So, in the next time, everyone watched Qianyins and Liangye compete with each other and howl like ghosts and wolves. Everyone felt that the two people they brought were more terrifying than the ghosts, and they frightened everyone in the haunted house. Fortunately, the light inside the haunted house is dark, otherwise the idle baggage of these two people would be completely shattered. These two are indeed singers, and their voices are really good. Yu Lingfeng clicked his tongue and praised. Xia Ying has a dark face and is silent. She should rarely take them to places like this in the future, otherwise others will think that anyone who is timid can join their Thornbird Entertainment Company. Is it my imagination? Just for a moment, I almost recognized that lunatic as my Qian Bao. Me too, I thought the other lunatic was Liangye at first glance. Don't talk nonsense, okay, Liangye's throat has been kissed by God. Who is that person who screamed until his voice broke? Don't be ashamed, gentlemen. That's right, the one who called mom to go home. How could it be my Kenyans Appa? Everyone was suppressing laughter while listening to the conversation of the girl behind them. Girls, keep your eyes open and take a look at your Appa. This is what exists. The fan filter is too thick and you can't always see their true side. After finally coming out of the haunted house, Qianyins and Liangye vomited to death, and then hugged each other, shivering to keep each other warm. The two of them looked at each other and felt that the distance between each other and themselves was getting closer, as if they had found a close friend. Zihu went to buy something to drink, and the rest of the people were staring at them. Xiajin had a complicated heart after witnessing a series of performances by her new godfather. He even thought that the person in the haunted house just now was not his godfather, but it was clear that he had not recovered now, so his godfather was like this. Xiajin thought this way, moved closer to Yu Lingfeng, grabbed Yu Lingfeng's big hand, and thought to herself. Well, as expected, Dad is the most reliable. Westju bought some drinks and distributed them to everyone, and then gave them to the two poor little people who had left the organization and whose souls had separated from their bodies. Qianyins and Liangye were in shock. They reached for the drink 11 handed them with trembling hands. When they looked up, they saw the bright red liquid. The two hugged each other and screamed again. Zihu was puzzled. What's wrong? What is this, blood? Qianyins pursed his lips and looked at Zihu aggrievedly. Zihu looked at him with a cold expression. Watermelon juice. Then, 11 placed himself in front of the two men and ignored them. After everyone sat for a while, they began to think about where to go to play later. After all, it took a lot of effort to gather so many people together. We are usually very busy, but this time we all came out together to have a good time. While everyone was planning, Xia Ying sent a message to her best friends. Tell them to come and play together. Is Xiajin here? When Xia Ying told Mu Niankai's first sentence was to ask if Xiajin was there. Xia Ying paused, then replied, "Here, what's wrong? I'll come right away." Happy tone, and then hung up the phone. Later, Xia Ying found out why Mu Niankai had just asked that question. Because Mu Niankai brought her daughter who was beautifully dressed up. Dian is now in kindergarten. She wears 2 pigtails, a bow hair tie, a polka-dot floral skirt, white socks, and red leather shoes. Mu Niankai simply dressed up Dian more carefully than dressing herself up, and then brought her out. End of this chapter.